We're Megan and RJ, and we're currently in the country of Iceland. For the next 2 weeks, we'll be driving all the way around the country on the ring road in our rented Marco Polo campervan, exploring the incredible beauty and experiencing what makes Iceland such a unique travel destination. Early yesterday morning, we arrived in the city of Keflavik and picked up our rental van. In addition to being our transportation, this will also serve as our hotel while we're driving around Iceland. Once we had our van, we left Keflavik and headed north, stopping along the way to load up on food for the trip. We finished our day with a much-needed rest at Krauma Spa. Here we soaked our jet lag away for 5 hours in the luxurious hot pools. Oh my gosh, it was amazing!
It was awesome.
So relaxing.
Yeah, it was much needed to get over a little bit of jet lag and the time change and everything. So now we are at a hot spring just at the start of the Snæfellsnes Peninsula. The goal for today is to drive around the Snæfellsnes Peninsula, do a little bit of sightseeing, and that'll pretty much be the extent for today. And I think we're gonna try and end our night at another hot spring. But it is currently 9:30, so we're gonna get our butt on the road and get exploring.
Only a couple kilometers away from where we camped is our first stop of the day, Gutherberg Cliffs, a kilometer of basalt columns that resemble a castle wall. You can walk right up to the cliff and explore as much as you want. We were here for about 30 minutes, but only because RJ lost the drone and had to go find it.
Okay. Here's our weather.
The weather forecast for today is, it's supposed to be windy pretty much all day today. Pretty windy. I would guess like around 15 miles per hour, maybe 20 miles per hour around there. All day through the night, and then it's forecasted where we're going to Snæfellsnes, 4 degrees Celsius, which equates to about 40 degrees Fahrenheit, and rain off and on. Typical Iceland weather.
All right, one of the snacks that we got that we've been surviving on are these like milka. They're like Oreo cookies wrapped in chocolate, and they are pretty delicious. They mostly taste like the Oreo cookie cream and the milk chocolate. Not so much the cookie itself, but the crunch of the cookie gives it a really good texture. It's really good.
They're massive. They're huge.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever seen a candy bar that big.
This bar, that is the complete size of this candy bar, and everything is really expensive, so this bar was probably like $14 to $20, somewhere in there.
Oh my god, I didn't know that.
Very expensive. Alright, so the next thing that we're trying are these amazing organic nacho cheese chips, and when you look at them, they look like just normal tortilla chips, but they taste just like Doritos. No lie, they have the nacho cheese flavor of Doritos, but without that annoying nacho cheese powder that gets all over your fingers. But man, they're delicious. So I think they have a bit of an edge on Doritos. And it's the job of the passenger to feed the driver.
From the cliffs, we drove 2.5 hours to our second stop, Djúpalónssandur Black Sand Beach. This beach is unique for 2 reasons. There are 4 lifting stones that boat crews once used to test the strength of aspiring fishermen up until the 19th century. You must have been able to lift the second largest stone at the very least, or you'd be deemed unsuitable for life at sea.
Yeah, I think the true test of strength would have been whether they could withstand the wind or not.
The rest of the beach is scattered with rusty metal hunks from the English trawler Edding that shipwrecked here during a violent storm in 1948. We walked around the beach for only 20 minutes because the nearly freezing temperature and extreme wind forced us back to the van. The thermometer in the car is reading that it's 2 degrees Celsius outside. I'm not quite sure what that is in Fahrenheit, but it's a little bit more than freezing. But then you have to add in that wind. It's pretty brutal. You can't even walk. You take one step forward and it's like you take 2 steps back.
Yeah, let alone the fact that it's also blowing like sleet, or it's not quite hail, it's not rain, but the wind is blowing it right in your face as you're walking. And so you're getting pelted like you're getting sandblasted. It just makes the whole thing kind of miserable. Still tried to make the best of it and have fun, but super interesting beach. Just wish we could have stayed there a little longer. Maybe flown the drone or done some more creative stuff with the camera. But it is what it is. We're moving on, having fun. But we are headed now to a lighthouse, which is basically on the tip of the peninsula, and then we're circling around to the north and continuing on from there.
Our next stop is a 30-minute drive to Svörtuloft Lighthouse on the northwest tip of the peninsula. There's not a whole lot to see out here besides a large sea arch and the raging waves against the black cliffs. But once again, the extremely strong wind and freezing cold only allowed us to stay here for a few minutes before retreating back to the comfort of our van. Alright, we are running low on time. It's about 3 o'clock p.m. And we got about an hour and a half until Stykkishólmur. That's just driving straight there, having no stops. So that's where we're headed, because sunset is at 5:45. And we want to be able to kind of enjoy the Stykkishólmur before it gets dark. Maybe go to a cafe or something, get a coffee. I don't know. Something. It's an idea.
All right. We decided we're going to stop in this little town here. I don't know the name of the town, but we did find a restaurant to eat at on the way. So we're about an hour away from Stykkishólmur, I would guess, at this point. So we're going to go in, grab something to eat at this cozy-looking little restaurant, and then I think head on to Stykkishólmur. I'm not sure if we're going to have any time at all left to explore Stykkishólmur, but maybe at night. Maybe they have a little bit of a nightlife. Who knows? It's like Monday. I don't know why they would have nightlife on a Monday.
I don't think they would.
Right there.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
You want a coffee? Kind of sounds good, doesn't it?
Yeah. After our meal, we drove 30 minutes along more beautiful coastline to what is probably Iceland's most popular and recognizable tourist destination, Keflavik, a picture-perfect waterfall named for the prominent arrowhead-shaped mountain made uber famous by Game of Thrones. There wasn't a sunset this evening, but we still managed to capture a couple long exposures before the wind blew our tripod over and cracked the plastic on our wide-angle lens. Thankfully, there isn't any significant damage and still seems to be working properly, but we'll have to be careful with it. We finished our day by driving 2 hours out of Snæfellsnes Peninsula to Lager Campground near the entrance to the West Fjords. Over the last 2 days, we've driven a total of 7.5 hours and 516 kilometers.
All right, I think that pretty much wraps up our night here in Snæfellsnes Peninsula. after dinner, we pretty much just hit the road and decided not to go into the town of Stykkishólmur just because we're running out of daylight hours, and from what we could tell,
figure out exactly what all was there.
Yeah, it didn't seem like there was a whole lot to do to draw us away from the main road and take such a long detour.
However, we forgot to mention one thing.
Yeah, we did forget to mention one thing.
Where we're staying tonight, it's a campground, but right by the campground, walking distance, there's a hot spring. I was really looking forward to it, but I was kind of disappointed with it too.
Yeah, it's a huge disappointment. It's probably -1 degree Celsius, -2 degrees Celsius, somewhere there.
Point,
and the water in the hot spring is maybe 90 degrees, somewhere around there, maybe upper 80s, low 90s. We don't know. We didn't bring the thermometer and actually test it.
Yeah.
But we did run over there into the changing room and ran out in just our bathing suits and jumped in the water for 15 to 30 minutes, something like that. And it was freezing getting out in this wind.
I dreaded getting out. I was like, I know it's not that warm, but it's freaking freezing out
It's probably the whole reason why we even stayed in the pool as long as we did, was because it was so cold outside, and we knew we had like a good 20-foot run from the hot spring to the dressing room. And the dressing room is not like a dressing room. It's like a rustic rock cabin with a creaky wooden door that blows open, every time the wind blows really hard. So,
however, you are protected from the elements, and that is a bonus.
That's the main thing.
You immediately feel the warmth just getting into that dressing room.
I wouldn't call it warmth. I'd call it lack of cold.
Same difference here, right?
The absence of freezing wind.
Okay, yeah, true.
So yeah, that was our experience tonight. Unfortunately, it was just too dark, and we were too lazy to bring the camera.
As we were sitting in the hot spring too, I was hoping, because it was clear skies, I was hoping that maybe we would see the northern lights. It didn't happen.
No. There's pretty decent activity going on tonight, and this is the only spot, this is the only clear skies we've had this whole time. But yeah, no northern lights. A couple shooting stars and satellites, but
yeah, that was cool.
So we're gonna keep our eye out and hope for the best. We're here for 2 weeks, so cross our fingers. But now we are just at the start of the West Fjords, where we will start our day tomorrow. And yeah, I think we're going to make our bed and maybe straighten up a little bit and hit the hay, and not sure what time we're going to get up or when we're going to get on the road, but the goal is to head into the West Fjords, and that's the land of hot springs.
Woo!
That'll be it for us tonight, and look forward to tomorrow when we head into the West Fjords. And good night.
Good night. It's not windy here. Protected.
This is our favorite part of the trail so far. But they taste. Whoa!
The thermometer in the car is reading that it's 2 degrees Celsius.
That's good.
I had a burp. Hold on.
Got that on video again.